Hey, we got this 85 Squarebody that we're going to start working on, so stay tuned. Subscribe to the channel for future videos. We've got a tune-up video that we're going to do where I did some initial work on getting the motor running right. We've got some gauge work on the inside, getting the original cluster components to working like they should. We've got some drop spindles and a flip kit, so I'm going to be doing that, and then probably some odds and ends things that may turn into another video or two. So stay tuned, and we're gonna crank out some content for Squarebody people, and hopefully you'll get some good info from it. I'll start by giving you a little bit of history on the truck. So it belongs to a family member. I had it in his garage, just had put a motor in it that he bought from somewhere, and still did not have any exhaust on it, and it ran like crap. Even with it had a new, I think he put a new distributor in it, and it's also got a new Edelbrock AV2 carburetor. Couldn't figure out what was going on with it, and the neighborhood he lives in, it's frowned upon to have a bunch of loud, obnoxious vehicles running, even in the garage. So he's just about ready to give up, and I talked him into bringing it over here to the shop, and started digging into it, and just started methodically going through it. Oh, the exhaust, that's the other video. So he's got he had headers on it and nothing else, and he sourced a bunch of parts, mufflers, exhaust pipe, even some pre-bent stuff, all from Amazon, I believe. So I'm going to do a video on putting that together from scratch. So you know, if people's got some same kind of things that they're trying to do at home, we're going to show you which parts we used and give you an idea of what's involved and that sort of thing. So that was the first thing I did, was put the exhaust on it so that I could hear, and then started methodically going through one thing at a time. Set the timing on it. Before I set the timing, the distributor wasn't in the position that I like it to be in. All right, so as you can see, the distributor is pointing off to the master cylinder. We want it about right there. So I pulled the distributor out and reset it to the right number one, and at least the one I call the right number one, and put it back and tightened everything down, set the timing, started at about 12 degrees, and still all, you know, running really bad. Cold collared, wouldn't run on a cold start. Once you got it warmed up a little bit, it would run, but it was still idling real high. Couldn't bring it down. And then the minute you put it in drive, it was terrible. You put it in under any load, the thing would not. It went from bad to worse. So I got to messing around with it and did all the things. Pulled one of the plugs out of it, read it. You could definitely tell there was a lean condition going on. The color of the plugs looked like that they were definitely running hot. Speaking of hot, the engine itself was also running hotter than it should have been. I don't know what kind of thermostat is in it, but it's definitely, whatever it is, it shouldn't be running. It was at 210, 220 at times, and it should never have gotten that hot. So lean condition will do that as well. New radiator, all that stuff was in order. So knew that component-wise we were in good shape. There was some other kind of problem. Fast forward, a lot of those things that I just mentioned, there's a couple or handful of things that it could be, but one of the biggest things that would cause a lean condition like that would be a vacuum leak. So even with exhaust on it, I did not hear anything. I didn't have an ounce of carburetor cleaner in this shop at the time, so I wasn't spraying anything yet to figure it out. That's the other thing. When I was setting the timing, I only had like 10 pounds of vacuum pull on it, and I knew that was low. So I felt like that there was a leak somewhere. I called it quits one night, put it in the, put everything up and went home, and I got to looking at the diagram on an AVS2, which I had not had any experience with whatsoever, Edelbrock carburetors that is. And I noticed that there was a port on the back of it used for vacuum port that you could use for your power brakes. And I knew that the power brakes on this truck was running off of similar port on the intake. So the one on the carburetor wasn't used. I couldn't tell from the diagram if the new carburetors come with that hole with a plug in the hole, or if it was open. And so I got back here the next day, stuck my camera in between the carburetor and the distributor, put it in selfie mode, snapped a pic, looked at it, and sure enough, that thing was uncapped, which, you know, you got this big 1/4 inch MPT hole that is sucking all kinds of air, and there's no fuel to match that ratio, and that was what was causing our humongous vacuum leak, and I couldn't hear it. But now, before I fixed it, I pulled the truck out that same day, and it was clear as day. I heard this huge sucking noise, and I knew that it wasn't all coming from the top of the carburetor. So it was, it would have been apparent after, you know, I'd gotten it out where I could hear it. But at any rate, I found the plug for some of my air fittings that fit, and got it plugged, started up, it purrs like a kitten. Put it in drive, under load, just sits there and runs. Even when cold, no choke. So I couldn't ask for any better situation. So we'll continue to fine tune the motor and get it running, you know, as best as we absolutely can. But I think it's well on its way to being good. We're going to work on the gauges on the inside. Got oil gauge that I just got fixed. I had the wrong wire hooked to it, and got that taken care of. So a lot of little things, but when we find enough content to put a video together that's helpful, we're going to get it out, and I believe it'll be 3 or 4 good ones, hopefully, that you'll get something out of. So stay tuned. Please subscribe.